Everything else is just the weather. As the rain tore down, I thought, I should be miserable now, cycling rough terrain, splashing lamplit potholes in London's night, hanging on for dear life. This rusty bike, mistrusty steed, me and you on rain-swamped wheels. I should be miserable, what with the news and the wind and the rain and the rough terrain. But there's a sunship in my heart, abiding peace slipping through showering streets. Oh, the innocent wetness of rain and the absurdity of anger at the weather.
Season 1, Episode 2. This is the Paving Away podcast, and I'm your host, Brian O'Keefe. What's the crack? So this show, it's about entrepreneurs paving their way and following their own passions. Originally, about 2 weeks ago, I thought it was going to be strictly about marketing and business and all of that good stuff, but as it happens, curiosity is luring me into other unknown territories, and I accept our fate. Let's see what happens. That opening sequence you just watched or listened to is the poetry and yoga of the guest of this episode, Alexandra Stone. Alex, who's a neighbour of mine in Shoreditch, has a passion for mindful movement. She's a yoga, meditation and pilates practitioner based in Shoreditch. A published poet too, why not? We sat down in the park and chatted a bit about yoga, meditation and spirituality. Well, to be fair, Alex did most of the chatting. I was trying to keep up at the best of times. But this episode you'll learn a bit about the beauty of these practices, and if you're interested in getting started, Alex has some pretty solid advice for you. So actually I should point out one more thing, that it wasn't actually raining. That opening sequence was for dramatic effect. It was a glorious day and it started off with a bit of giggles. Alright.
Okay.
It'll centre up, so if you go that side of it, I'll go this side.
Yeah, so like there?
No, as in that side of the mat.
I'll just drag that with me.
Yeah, because I think the centre of the mat is centre of the frame.
Okay.
Alright, now let's get serious. I'm joking. This is going to be a casual conversation.
Yeah.
Because that's what we are, casual people,
Casual
isn't
people.
it?
Doing casual things.
See, we get each other. That's what it's all about. Alright, check this out. Perfect. We're rolling. I'm not going to leave that out, you know.
Throw it all in.
Alright. Okay, let's get started. Give us a bit of story about your journey and how you found yourself coming into yoga and meditation.
Yeah. Okay, well, I started yoga when I was about 23, 24. It's quite a while ago now. Let's not go into the detail. And I was a long distance runner, so I was into endurance sports. And I have been since I was very young. Mm-hmm. And suddenly I started to get knee issues. Somebody suggested going to a yoga class, and it was an Ashtanga class.
Ashtanga, what is that?
Ashtanga is like a very athletic form of yoga.
Okay.
And it wasn't a beginner's class.
Okay, I've seen acro yoga.
Okay.
That stuff is incredible.
Yeah, I mean Ashtanga is like you're solitary on your mat.
Okay.
It's just a lot of sun salutations, a lot of different poses. People like just push into handstand, through their vinyasas, go into splits from handstand. You know.
Oh, okay. That sounds crazy.
Yeah, it's a very intense form of practice. But afterwards, even though I failed massively on the mat, I felt like I was high, and I'd never experienced that before. I just literally I couldn't stop talking. It was like I'd had drugs, and I was just like, whoa, what was that? So so then I decided that I would go and investigate this yoga practice a little bit more.
Of course, naturally. Yeah.
Naturally, and yeah, I just started to go to this weekly class, and back then, you know, yoga just wasn't fashionable at all. There was me and a few middle-aged people in the class, and then there was always like, you know, one kind of hippie girl who they would call the crusty, you know. She was like the true essence of hippie. Mm-hmm. And that was it, like for many years. And then, yeah, I went away to Ibiza, which has a huge like spiritual
community, as well as the party atmosphere.
Yes, okay, good, so you know about that. Yeah. And I went there to find my life purpose, because I was just kind of floundering about. I was doing so many different things. Like I'm a writer and a creative, So I'd been doing like stand-up comedy, writing screenplays. I'd been writing stories. I was a journalist, and I don't know, just nothing I did felt quite right. So I went to find my purpose on a yoga retreat.
Yeah, how'd it go?
It was absolutely amazing, like life-changing. But it wasn't until afterwards that the changes really started to kick. So I went to Spain just afterwards to Andalusia. And I was reading Captain Corelli's Mandolin. Don't know if you've read that book.
I've not read that one, yeah.
It's a book about war. And it was in such stark contrast to where I was, like in my own consciousness at that time. And I remember just thinking, gosh, I would really like to help raise the consciousness of humanity. And yoga had done that for me. So I thought, well, that's an amazing tool to just go out and help people.
Mm-hmm.
And so it really did come from that place.
Okay, so these are big ideas that are generating from just the early stages of yoga.
Yeah, massive, yeah. Then it was almost like when I got back, there was something else to it, like a match had just been lit, and I was off, and I was basically having a relationship with yoga, and the relationship I was actually in just kind of fell apart, and I was doing yoga like 6-7 days a week. I was going around loads of different studios and experiencing lots and lots of different styles of yoga, and I was having like huge experiences, like out of body, like just feeling really grounded as well, like feeling like I'd finally kind of come home to myself, like lots of different things.
Okay.
It was so dramatic how it influenced me and my life, and then I decided that I wanted to give that to the world.
Cool.
Yeah. But
did your meditation come after yoga or before it came after?
Yeah, but it's such a strange thing, right? Because when I was younger, I was interested in meditation, but I just didn't really know why. And I think that if it's kind of there, like there's something in you which is kind of attracted to those practices. Like maybe it's part of your life purpose, or it's a soul path or something. But I remember finding a notepad, and this notepad was it was written when I was about 20, and I used to write down like goals and dreams and aspirations. And my number one goal was to become a yoga master, and I was just so shocked because at that point it was not in the vision. I was just going to yoga or whatever. I was kind of interested in it, and then it was, and obviously that manifested like many years later. So I guess it was always there, in the consciousness. And the same with meditation. Like people would just buy me meditation books, or my mom, who's she was an atheist. I don't know if she is anymore. She bought me like this kind of big image of the Buddha. Mm-hmm. And I just used to have the Buddha like up in my room, and I created a meditation space which I never used.
Okay.
But I would just it was always there, the want to do it. And then eventually it was after many years of yoga practice, asana, that I started to get into sitting, and then I think that it's a natural evolution. You start to then enjoy the sitting more than the asana, and you don't really need to kind of move the body, because we're moving the body to still the mind. It's a psychophysical practice through the body to the mind, and you work through layers and layers of the body and conditioning and whatever's present, like kind of traumas and things that are kind of naturally making the mind kind of stormy, and it starts to calm after a while, and then you can just sit, and you can just kind of sit and bathe in the bliss of like who and what you are.
And that's the story now.
Yeah.
Talk about maybe the beginnings of meditation, because I know a lot of people, including myself, just starting out, it's like, I can't clear my mind, I can't sit still, it's too boring, But I've been practicing it now for a couple of months, and you definitely see the benefits.
Yeah.
But maybe for someone starting out, what would be like some advice?
So I would say, when you start out, just don't get ahead of yourself. Like sit for 5 minutes. I couldn't sit for 5 minutes at first. I would be falling asleep, right? Or I would have a lot of kind of visual things going on. I'm very visual. Still get that sometimes, quite a lot. Anyway, the mind basically comes up with a lot of ways to distract you from that silence and from that stillness, because the mind naturally wants to be in charge. So it kind of thinks it's your master, you know. And there's an old saying that the mind is a good servant and a poor master, and that's really true. And you find that out on the mat. So put it to 5 minutes, then 10 minutes, then 15 minutes, and watch how the mind likes to distract you. So if you're falling asleep, ask, am I tired? Am I actually tired? Or is this a distraction?
Okay.
You know?
And then should it be guided or unguided at the start?
I did a bit of both. Like I preferred probably guided at first. And I think it's a great way to get into it because, you know, like kind of doing breath stuff and just hearing a voice to kind of talk you down into a state of relaxation. I think that's really, really helpful for people. It was very helpful for me.
Okay.
I did both alongside, and I could sit for much longer with guided meditations.
Yeah, I find that you get more distracted, definitely when you're starting out, if you don't have someone to guide you through.
Yeah.
But it's if you can come back to your breath is what I find. But there's so many ways to tackle it and go about it.
Yeah, so there's in Vipassana meditation, which we talked about a little bit earlier, at the beginning of it you do something called Anapana, and Anapana is focusing like on your breathing exclusively. So you start to attune your senses to the tiniest sensation of the breath inside your nose, and you just get really silent and you're just breathing in and out, breathing in and out, breathing in and out. And that's what it's about. It is about becoming more sensitive to what's going on in your body, in your mind, and observing that from the witness point of view. And then, you know, you can use all kinds of tools like mantra. You know, you got to find what really works for you, I think.
Okay. And then in day-to-day life, would you notice like what practical things? Because I think people sometimes they get a bit like, you know, mind, body, soul. It's all a bit kind of airy-fairy.
Yeah,
but then
yeah.
what kind of practical manifestations would you notice?
Like in terms of like how meditations improve my life. Well, so instead of just going out and simply reacting to the external environment, I'm making a choice about how I would react, and also I'm able to observe the sensations in my body. Sometimes you know you'll still get very extreme sensations which are quite difficult to manage, and they'll just kind of play out. You might call that kind of karma, or you know, some kind of energetic knot or whatever that just kind of is quite powerful and overtakes you. But then, you know, going through ordinary life, generally I'm able to kind of manage how I feel and how I respond to life in general. And, you know, that's amazing power. That completely changes like everything.
So you'd absolutely recommend it for anyone?
100%. Like if everybody on this planet meditated, there would be no wars, you know, because you can't walk around and operate unconsciously, and you can't hurt people, you know, because you suddenly become very connected to your humanity. And also, this is quite deep, but then the deeper you go, the more you realize that everything is interconnected, and eventually that realization does drop. And this is not an airy-fairy thing, you know, this is the actual reality. And the idea that we are these kind of separate little units is just false. And sitting in meditation reveals that truth. And so you couldn't go out and hurt people, you just couldn't, you know. So you start to become much more peaceful, much more mindful. And when you're more mindful of your own state, you're able to be there of service to other people.
Nice. And do you teach meditation as well, or is it?
Yeah. I teach meditation. Like mainly, I'm teaching meditation, like kind of one-on-one stuff. But I do specialize in the chakras, and the chakras.
Tell me what that is.
So you have lots of different bodies, what we would say in yoga, and you have an energetic body. which we also call the subtle body. So it's really subtle. So to attune to it, you have to get very, very still.
Okay.
And then you start to kind of notice that there's this whole field going on. And I wasn't always attuned to that. That kind of took time to really build. But then I really started to kind of feel this whole energetic system. And the chakras themselves, you're going to find them in many disciplines across the world. They're called different things, but they're all in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
So up the midline center, you've got these 7 chakras, and that's what we tend to concentrate on in the West. But you have chakras all over the body. So if you think about them as like roundabouts of energy, so it's like you've got almost like road lines of energy, which we call nadi lines in yoga. 72,000 of them, and they converge and they make these little kind of spinning vortexes or wheels.
Holy moly.
Yeah. And they're everywhere all over your body, but then up the center line you've got 7 of them, and they all have like different personalities, and they're doing different things in order to like balance and harmonize you and stabilize you as a being, you know. So you can communicate with this energetic body, and it's you know, it's a really ancient practice to bring that into a state of balance. It was actually when I started to really work consciously with the energetic body when my whole consciousness kind of transformed.
Cool. So
Yeah.
it seems all very connected. There's nothing
Yeah.
that's attached or detached from.
No, and also like the chakras. So, what style of practice are you doing?
I don't know. In terms of meditation.
No, in asana, like yoga asana. Do you know
No,
what it's
I just
called?
go to a pure gym and the
Okay.
instructor tells me what to do and I copy.
So it's probably vinyasa,
Okay.
right? Because that's quite popular, or like a hatha style of yoga. I would imagine vinyasa if it's
Yeah.
in a gym.
But something we do at the very end, which I like, is we do like a 5-minute, just lie
Shavasana.
down like this. And then it's just kind of sleepy time, but I quite like it.
Yeah, shavasana. That's called. It's called corpse pose.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody.
And she comes
loves
around
that.
at the end as well and she
Yeah.
sprinkles something on our faces. I don't know what it is, but it's beautiful.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, the
Yeah.
shavasana is definitely one of the best parts. But so that class traditionally, it's built along the lines of the chakras. So you kind of start off, and you know you'll have a pose to balance the root chakra. Then you'll have the second chakra, which is your sacral chakra, the power chakra, the heart chakra, the
Okay.
throat chakra, the third eye, and the crown.
Okay.
Okay, so the whole practice is built along that pathway. So when you get to the end of a practice, often you'll be in headstand because that's the crown, right? And also Shavasana links to the crown as well, which is like, it's almost like all states beyond doing. So you're in a complete state of being,
Yeah,
you know?
I like that.
Yeah, everybody likes that.
So where can people find out a bit more about you?
Well, it's probably easier to go to my website, so alexandrastone.studio.
Okay.
And you can find links to social media. So I'm Alex Stone Mindfully Moving You, because I trained in Pilates as well, so I'm kind of multidisciplined. And I'm all about kind of healing through movement, you know, and kind of people uncovering deeper parts of themselves, whether they want to kind of open their heart, like something really deep like that, or whether they just want to kind of a better butt, like, you know, they can come to me for all those things.
And look at crazy poses.
And look
I've
at crazy
seen.
poses. Yeah, you know, if they want to kind of master a crazy pose, then I can
Okay.
help them with that as well.
Sweet.
So.
Yeah, I'll put all those show notes in the description. And thank you so much, Alex.
you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Beautiful. No, you did really well, actually.
I hope it didn't ramble too much.
You're a good storyteller.
Good.